You're uploading every single week, maybe every single day. You're studying every single YouTube strategy, watching every single YouTube tutorial, but still nothing. You have zero views. So you might be starting to feel frustrated and just simply think that YouTube is not for you. But here's the truth. The truth is that your system might just be broken, or maybe you're just not following the right strategies. So, in this video, let me share with you the exact system and strategies that took me from where you're currently at, getting no views, to getting hundreds of millions of views across multiple channels. So, with that said, let's hop into my computer and I'll show you guys everything that I know. Okay, so let's start off. The first things first, you want to think YouTube as a business, because that's essentially what YouTube is. YouTube is a business. You got to treat it as a business. You got to run your YouTube channel as a business. Think about it this way. If a successful business owner, a CEO of a, Fortune 500 company comes into work every single day and they just wing it every day, or they don't have systems, they don't have things that they follow, a structure. They don't have a structure for, their meetings, their marketing, their sales, their operations. How do you think that business will run? It will probably fail, or it will probably not even be a successful business. So you really want to treat your YouTube channel as a business, because here's the truth. Every single successful creator that you follow currently was not successful. They didn't have systems, they didn't have strategies that they followed. But once they started implementing those systems, those strategies, and started to improve little by little over time, they got to where they're currently at. You take a look at the Mr. Beast, the Rand Trahans, it's a process. And that leads me to the first point, is that you really want to change your mindset, because not even the biggest YouTubers start perfectly. And having the right mindset is what separates the top creators from those who don't succeed. Because the truth is, YouTube is a long-term game. If you have a mindset that you will have success instantly, or very short-term mindset, you have already lost. Um, because with YouTube, you just have to put in a lot of work. You have to be consistent. You have to put in the reps, and that's probably something that you don't want to hear, or probably or probably something that you already heard. But I want to start off with that point, because people that are truly interested will keep watching this video. The ones that are just here for the short term, please click away. Um, because the truth is that you really want to start off with the mindset of being obsessed. Like, how bad do you want it, right? This is not a motivational video, but that's the truth. Like, you want to be obsessed with improvement. And even when you're getting no views, even when the results are not the results that you expect, because that's very likely how it's going to be in the beginning, you want to keep improving, you want to keep getting feedback and reiterating on that feedback, right? So you really have to love the process. Essentially, you have to love scripting videos, shooting videos, editing videos, publishing videos, and repeating that exact formula over and over and over, and just getting good with each video, and just putting in the reps, right? Like, kind of like going to the gym. Um, because the creators who win aren't necessarily the most talented. They are the ones that really obsessed about YouTube and just improving over time. We hear that a lot from Mr. Beast, how he was really obsessed, just kind of locked himself in hours and hours, days just studying the most tiny little details about YouTube. And that's how you want to be if you want to grow on YouTube. Um, but let's say you develop the right mindset, right? Let's say your mindset's there, you have a long-term mindset, you're obsessed. That's not enough, because now I'm going to get into the real details of why you might not be growing, and what you need to do in order to fix that. Which leads me to the first thing that we will talk about, and that is your niche. Because if you're tired of not going viral, there's a good chance your content is too broad in the beginning. And that's one of the biggest mistakes new creators make. Everyone wants millions of views, but they skip the part where you have to earn the trust of your small following, your small tribe, your first couple hundred or thousands of followers first. You have to build a loyal audience within your specific niche, like your small little tribe, and then you want to expand from there. So my recommendations in the beginning is to start narrow and then expand. Um, in the beginning, you really want to be the go-to person for one single thing, not five, not everything, just one thing that people can remember you. Um, you really have to, you have to build some traction first. Then, as you start building that traction and that core following, you can tap into larger markets and experiment with other types of content. Let me just give you guys an example, right? You want to tap into let's say, the business niche, right? Let's say you have experience in business. Let's say you have experience in e-commerce, growing e-commerce brands, right? Let's say you're very successful at that, and now you want to grow a personal brand. Um, you want to start with that, like making tutorials or making videos targeted to that specific niche and type of business. Once you build a following, a loyal following of that core audience, then you can start expanding a little bit more in the business niche, right? You can start expanding into broader topics about, for example, like, I don't know, 7 key habits that make entrepreneur successful, let's say. So you want to start building your core loyal following and then expand from there. Expand to the broader niche that the business niche is. After you've done that, right? Let's say your mindset is right. Let's say your niche is right. Let's say you start narrow, you build, and you expand from there. The third point that I'm about to talk to you guys is so important, and that is ideas. Because no matter how good your camera is, if you have a $5,000 camera or your edits are just very cinematic, they're clean, they're like top of the game, if your idea is bad, like nothing else matters. Like it will kill your video before even like your video is dead before you even start. Um, so ideas are really, really, really important. I can't stress this enough for the people that I help and the channels that I build. The idea is something that I think a lot of people don't put enough time into, and that I think people should put more time into. Um, so yeah, ideas is ideas is where it's at. There are a lot of ways to come up with ideas, but I want to give you 3 core principles that will instantly level up your thinking. Um, let's start off. Let's start off right off with number one, as you see here. Make sure your idea has a high TAM. This is a concept from Patty Galloway, who is a top strategist to top creators like Mr. Beast, and it simply means your total addressable market. You can still have a niche idea like something in fitness, tech, or personal growth, but the way you package it should have mass appeal. Ask your like some good questions you can ask yourself is, can I reframe this idea so it reaches more people without losing the heart of it? That's a good a question that you can ask yourself when doing this exercise. You can also go into your niche and see what is the average views of the videos in your niche, and you can kind of get a sense of the tam of your TAM. So that's the number one thing is to make sure that TAM, that idea, has a high TAM, like it has a high interest. Um, and if it doesn't, is there a way that you can reframe it to, so it can have a higher interest and a higher appeal for more people? So while still keeping, the core and the heart of the idea, like I mentioned. So that's the number one thing. Number two is to make sure the idea is repeatable. Ask yourself, if the video goes viral, can you do it again? A good example, of this is Mr. Beast. His $1 versus series. Um, this idea became a whole series. He found a format that worked, then repeated across different topics. So you really want to find a repeatable format for your idea so you can do it over and over and over again if it works. Um, the third thing is to make sure it's easily explained and visualized. This is really important, guys. If your idea is hard to describe, it will be hard to sell to your audience. The best ideas can be explained easily. They can be visualized easily as well. This will translate into having strong titles and having powerful thumbnails that grab people's attention. Think about it like this. If you can't picture the thumbnail or write the title in a few words, you probably don't have a viral idea yet. Um, you want to, go back to the drawing board and brainstorm more. But with that said, this leads us to the next point. Um, and I just want to recap again. Your mindset is right, your niche is right, your ideas are right. Now, like I said, if you cannot package your idea into a good title and thumbnail, it will not work. But let's say you do package it into a good title and thumbnail, like you can easily visualize it and easily explain it, then good. This leads us to the next point, which is your title and thumbnail. So now we are getting into the packaging of your video. The only goal of the title and thumbnail is to make viewers click. So the first thing your title has to do is to make viewers curious. You can do this by writing curiosity-driven titles, titles that make people curious. For example, you can do this by having contrast in your titles, something big versus something small. Let's take a look at a Mr. Beast example here. $1 versus, a higher amount. As you see here in these thumbnails, like $1 versus 1 million, $1 versus a bigger amount of money. That kind of contrast sparks curiosity and makes people want to click. Other examples of curiosity driven titles, for example, um, are Ryan Trahan's Overnight in the World's Loneliest House. It makes you curious, like, what is it like to live in the loneliest house in the world? And we can see it here by the title and the thumbnail. Or we can also take a video from Cleo Abram titled, "What if you just keep digging?" It makes you question, like, what will happen if humans just keep digging a deep hole? Or what's at the center of Earth? It really, it makes you curious, right? It makes you curious to click and answer the questions that you have. Like, probably even the questions that you've had as a little kid in terms of like, oh, what's in the middle of the earth? Or what if I just dug a big hole? Like, can I keep digging, right? And that's why these titles work. So think about that when writing your titles. But now let's get into the thumbnails. When it comes to thumbnails, you want to do the same as you did with the titles and keep the same curiosity going with your thumbnails. If we take a look back, if we take a look back at the examples we just went over, Mr. Beast, Ryan Trahan, and Cleo Abram all are good at making their thumbnails evoke some curiosity for the viewer to click. But on top of that, a key thing that they do is keep their thumbnails simple. Um, for example, going back to Ryan Trahan's Overnight in the World's Loneliest House, as we see here, we see it's a simple thumbnail that just drives the message across with a lot of curiosity in it. And we see the house on a small island there, which is in the middle of the ocean. We also see a red arrow, as you see there, pointing at the tiny house. And we see the words me. We only see three things as you see there. It's simple but effective. It makes it easy for the audience to understand and just really easy to convey the message of what the video is about. And that's what you want to do. You want to drive as much curiosity as possible while keeping your thumbnails as simple as possible and just the message as clear, as simple as possible. So when someone scrolls past your thumbnail, they have that incentive to click. That's what I would do when it comes to titles and thumbnails there. But with that said, let's say your packaging is good, right? Now, what about your video, which is something that I want to talk about, and it's something very important when it comes to your video, and that is your writing. Your writing, whether that involves writing scripts, writing hooks, writing log lines, they are all really important for you to learn. A lot of the successful creators understand that every word matters, every cut matters, every sentence has a job. Like nothing is random. There's a lot of components to writing. There's a lot of components to hooks. But let me share with you guys some of the, some of the biggest things that I think will help you guys out. So the first things first, you want to dumb it down. And what does that mean? You want to make your content as simple enough for people to understand. Don't start using these complex words or this complex jargon. Use simple words, use short sentences. Don't try to sound smart just for trying to sound smart. There's audiences for that, but a lot of the time, for most people, like the simpler your vocabulary and your writing is, the better. But in addition to that, another important thing I believe when it comes to your writing and just doing really powerful videos is focusing on curiosity gaps. And I got this concept from George Blackman. He's one of the top script writers for some of the top YouTubers. But basically, what you're trying to do is it's like a psychological trigger that makes people feel a gap between what they know and what they want to know. And you want to kind of create those and pay them off as the video goes, right? That's a really powerful thing just to keep the audience engaged and really just, you know, keep them hooked and then deliver, like making them wait and delivering and paying off that curiosity gap, later on in the video. And you want to do that over and over. And, you're going to see a huge boost in audience retention from doing that. We can do another separate video on that, but that's kind of the simple version of that. So yeah, with that said, focusing on writing, I think is one of those important things that, even myself, constantly working on, just getting better. So really, really focus on that. And that's the fifth point I want to make, which leads us to the next point, and that is retention. When it comes to retention, there are a lot of tactics from writing to editing to sound effects and pacing. Um, but today I want to focus on one thing that will instantly improve your videos, and that is storytelling. And actually, one of the best ways to understand storytelling comes from the creators of South Park. They say if I'll play a little clip after this, but essentially what they're saying is if your story goes this happened, then this happened, and then this happened, it's kind of boring, right? But if your story goes something like this happened, so this happened, but then this happened, now you've got this kind of tension, momentum, and surprise. And like I said, I'll include a link where you guys can take a look at that video, which is really helpful in terms of storytelling. Um, but a key takeaway is to use, you know, the words so and but, which are key. They create the cause and effect and they introduce obstacles. And that's what keeps viewers watching because they want to see what happens next, right? So if you want better retention, don't just list events. Build a story with conflict and consequences. And that's how you keep people watching until the very end. So those are some of the most important things that I wanted to talk to you about. And if you really implement all those things, I really believe that they will take your channel to that next level that you're looking for, from getting no views to going viral, at least with one video, and then you can repeat and reiterate after that, right? But one more thing on top of that, I just wanted to share with you guys is um is to study. Studying is very important. Study your competitors, study the outliers, look at what's working and what isn't, spot trends on YouTube in your niche, outside your niche, but don't only, get inspiration or study YouTube. Get inspiration from other places. You can get inspiration from movies, from TV shows, from music, from anything. Great ideas often come from outside your niche and just getting inspiration from the whole world, right? When you combine all this and actually apply it, you're not just guessing anymore. You're building a system and the right strategies that will give you a real shot at your next video going viral. So implement these and let me know in the comments if this was helpful or if you want, to dive deeper into some of these concepts and some of these points that I made and some of these strategies, right? But with that said, just give me some feedback in the comments and thanks for watching.